Amy here, and I am so excited about today's session because today's topic is all about personal development. And joining me today are our friends from Aloha Life Coaching, Shawn Christian and Ari Zucker, who also just so happens to be a contributing writer for Ask Us Beauty magazine. So welcome to the two of you.
Hi, Amy, thank you for having us.
Yes. Oh, you bet. I am super excited about this particular topic, as some other folks that might be listening know, I've spent time as a business coach. And so it's a little bit of a different place and space, but I'm super excited to learn a little bit more about you, your methodologies, your strategies, some little secret tips and tricks. And then for you to be able to share a little bit about, more about what you do, how you do it, and the passion that revolves around it. So let's go ahead and get started. How does that sound?
Love it.
You had me at passion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're in my wheelhouse already.
I'll just step out.
You're talking passion and purpose.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. So let's go ahead, for those that might be listening along. Let's just get to know the two of you a little bit. So how did you meet? And then what led you to Aloha Life Coaching?
Oh, my goodness.
Go ahead. How did we meet? We met on a film set. That classic story. Never been told before. Two actors.
Do tell.
We come together.
Yeah. Although we do have a difference.
Years.
We worked together. We knew each other. We didn't really talk to each other that much because when we were on set, on a soap opera set, your call times and when you work are so different. So we knew each other for quite a while. And then as fate had it, we went our separate ways with our ex-spouses, and timing is everything. And so we did end up meeting there, but like I said, at least we had some sort of relationship beforehand, and they didn't, we didn't we weren't love interests on a show. And then, so
I was like, I think I knew her for probably 5 years before I really said, oh, hello, really engaged her, because I was just going through my own stuff. And of course, our dressing rooms were next to each other, and she heard me throwing tantrums over there.
I'm like, you okay in there?
I'm like, yeah, we're fine. Working through some stuff, and then eventually she talked about helping young kids.
I have a nonprofit started with my brother. So I was talking on the phone. I'd be, working through, we ended up working on a trip to go to South Africa and do our program in South Africa. And so he was like, what are you doing?
Wait, what? You're actually beyond an actress? So that's where I was like, wait a minute, I want to know more.
Yeah.
And it sort of it really evolved from there. But it wasn't like we worked together at all. And then later
we did.
Yeah.
So that's how we met.
That's how we met.
And then
the business, Aloha Life Coaching, started
almost 2 years ago.
2 years around the pandemic. A little bit, we were playing with brain children for years. Certainly I was, because I was no longer on the show. I'm like, wait, how can I continue to serve and do what I love? What is it, my passion and purpose, and that kind of thing. And I really had a moment like, okay, and when all production stopped, much like the whole world, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, what do I love to do? I love to create. Why? And when you talk about the whole why ladder, all the time, what is it about it that I love to create? I love to connect. I love to create an impact in people's lives. I love to create experiences for people that make them feel alive. Great. Well, why do I need the studios to do that?
Right.
Don't. Or why do I need, anybody for that matter? So that really deep self-reflection. And we had a treehouse at the time, and I go up to the treehouse, flipped on a camera, and I was like, welcome to Treehouse Talks. Let's talk about creativity. Let's talk about imagination, conversations about dreams, and really applying those in real life. And it evolved from there. And I was like, let's just make a business out of this so we can reach more people.
We did a couple of things that year. We also did, we weren't a nonprofit necessarily, but it was a show called Daytime Cares, and we were raising funds for all the frontline workers that year. So we had our hands in a lot of, how do we give back? How can we serve people while we're all at home, having to stay inside and not be in close proximity to anybody. So that was how sort of we discovered all these little things and bits about ourselves, that we're more than just what we do on screen. And what we do on screen, really, it translates. It translates on the other side. We're constantly trying to reach our audience and affect them emotionally. So what we do for a living is still the same. At life coaching, we are doing the same thing. How can we affect our clients emotionally and help them get through something that's traumatic or usually traumatic, or it's they emotionally want to change their habits and their lives. And that's what we're kind of doing on camera. When you hear fans come and say, gosh, you did this. I remember when you were doing this to the storyline and I was in the hospital and I was watching you and you affected me so much and got me through it. I'm pretty sure that feels like the same thing that we're doing now, which is so wonderful. So that's how we ended up kind of translating that into this, to Aloha coaching. You're gonna tell me the name.
What I want.
Why?
Yes, and I was going to say, so how did you come up with the name?
The Aloha, I've always had a deep affinity for the Aloha spirit. I lived in Hawaii for a year and I met with healers and a lot of the local legends, indigenous people, and I had beautiful conversations with them. And then one of the gentlemen was like, he said, do you know what Aloha really means? And I'm like, hello and goodbye. And he said, no, for Hawaiians, it means my breath, my presence I give you. Aloha, meaning my presence and my breath. And I'm like, wow, that's all I really want to do.
Yeah.
All right. And even when I'm working with a client, I'm always like, how can I give you my presence? How? And of course, listen and absorb that and allow their presence to impact me as well. So the Aloha, just the embodiment, and of course, that's on the website, because that is exactly what it's about. Being
That's
present,
amazing.
giving, and it just charges me up. And anytime I ever get lost in anything, or client or my own life, just be present. How do I bring my life, my breath, as many people know through meditation, just bringing yourself back to something you've had your whole life, your breath.
So you bring up a good point, and that is that in the whirlwind of life, we are often doing more with less. And so just that presence, I think that we all can learn a little bit more about being present in the moment and shutting down the phones and all of those things that we need to do. And it's so hard to do. We know we might need to do it. Easier said than done. And so I love just the mindfulness, of your passion and kind of walking through that journey. You mentioned, Ari, that you had been in the space now for about 2 years. And so when you kind of look back on that, what have been the greatest lessons learned for you going through this journey?
The 2-year process of coaching?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I think every entrepreneur kind of starts out going, I have an idea. And then you go, well, now what? What do I do with that idea? And especially someone who, we're building this on our own, and we've spent the last 25 to 30 years having someone help us with everything, right? So it can be scary at first, especially for someone, for what we do in an industry that's so up and down. We just started going. We just started moving, and we thought we just can continue to ask questions as we go and start building a brand and building a business, knowing that in our hearts and our minds and our souls and everything that Shawn said, that has always been with us since we started the company. The building aspects, the marketing, the reaching out to people, and the working with clients is the beautiful part for us. Those things are not, those are not any issues, if that's a word I'm going to use. It's the building blocks that are the hardest part, and being able to reach out to people, and especially for what we do for a living in the entertainment business, we're like, are people going to take us seriously? Some people can think, well, I'm so-and-so and you should listen to me, but we come more along the lines from, I just hope someone takes us seriously enough to want to partner with us, or to want to take our business seriously and know that we really are here to be a person of service. And, hopefully our history speaks for itself, starting nonprofits. All I ever have done for being in entertainment for so long is continuously volunteering and giving back. And so those would be for me, for just speaking for myself, would be have been the hardest parts of just asking for help and listening to podcasts and talking to people and working with coaches and getting that life experience through education, and just allowing myself to have no ego and allow everyone's advice to come in and see how it works for us and our business. And everyone that I've spoken to so far has had something wonderful to say about how to be an entrepreneur. And of course it's hard. Of course it takes work, and everybody's path is different. So no one's going to have the exact same path as we know. And those are all the things that I'm just sharing quickly. And stop me if I'm talking too much. But yeah, so those are all the things that I can think of that are coming up going, oh yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And oh, I'm stuck now. Now what do we do? I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So then I go self-coach, and I'm saying, okay, what would I tell a client right now if I'm stuck? And so I'll go self-coach myself through it, and then move forward with my goal again.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, from a business perspective, people generally get into whatever business that they're in because they're passionate about it. They like it. Maybe it's the technical components, maybe it's something else that led them. And then they started this business, which is super excited, but they're like, I don't know how to run a business. What I know how to do is right.
Yeah.
And so they're like, now what? So I love the curiosity that the two of you have to learn and grow professionally, personally, to ask the questions, because so often there is ego attached, and not necessarily does people seek the help that they need to really build an amazing, meaningful business. So I love that.
Yeah.
And as part of that, I know I was going to ask you, but I think you had touched on it a little bit about just giving back. And it sounds like that's really baked into your business model, both for you, Shawn, and for you, Ari. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. It's the driving force behind everything we do. There's to me, there's no point if we're not giving back, we're not contributing or connecting. I mean, these are the three things that I can tell you clearly I value: is creativity, connecting, contributing. If I'm not doing that, I can tell something's off inside of me.
Yeah.
Right? And using that innate creativity to connect to a single human being or multiple human beings. And now I do speaking. So, speaking to groups and teams and organizations about this. So I can see that innate quality for me to just want to be able to connect and contribute as a whole. So how are we making the world a better place? And my dad had said this to me 1,000 years ago, God bless him. So it's like, just leave the place better than when you found it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, whether it's my room, whether it's a conversation, the kitchen,
kitchen.
But yeah, I'm a creator. Creator in the kitchen is just a mess.
Yes.
But that motivates me each and every time I get on the phone or have a conversation or even a cold call. And I work with clients around the world, and that ability to connect globally, is hugely motivating, and it gets me excited to wake up in the morning. It really does. It's not an on-off switch.
So you had mentioned, everyone having strengths and gifts and talents even earlier in our call. And so how does that lend to, being able to give back if you're working with someone and they want to give back and in whatever unique gift or talent or way that they can, how can they do that? And it doesn't have to cost a lot. Like, it doesn't have to cost a lot to give back, right?
No.
The only thing is your time and how much effort that you want to put into giving back. And you get so much more in giving back. Because yes, are you helping us wherever you might be volunteering or just speaking to a family member or whatever it is? Really, we are the ones that are receiving service by giving. It's really an unbelievable experience. And anyone who's done it knows that, wow, I went and volunteered at a dog shelter and I couldn't believe I just was cleaning dishes in the back and I got to meet with all these dogs, and guess what? I adopted one. That's all. And that really is all for you, and it's just I'm an animal lover. So
talk about a passion.
I was actually telling a true story. But also, when I think that when in your mindset, when you need to be off your phone or teach your kids how to be of service also, that there is more in the world out there than just, you watch people's postures changing and the way they sit on their phones and their heads are so low. I'm like, if you went out and volunteered a little and did something more for other people,
look,
your body, you really, it's even in your heart and your mind and your soul. And I'll say that a lot, but in the way that you sit, your posture, your everything about you changes when you give of yourself. And so that's what we share with other people. I'm very big on how I'm breathing and meditating. He's very big on meditation. I'm very big on the breathing aspect and how it makes you feel inside, and just when you need to take that deep breath, what it does for you. And, and all these little things count if you're choosing to be aware of it.
Yeah. I think to answer your question, I think one of the bigger things that you can do to sort of give back is be present. Just be present. the most deepest human need is to be seen, heard, and valued, and just listen. I think a lot of time, many people, we all do, I'm literally guilty of this as well, of talking and not listening. And people, if you can't, like you said, the freest thing you can give is your presence. Really be there with somebody and listen. And people, it just lights them up, because sometimes people just don't, and they don't feel heard.
I love when Shawn speaks. I always have to share this.
Oh,
Here we go. When he gets so passionate about something, his voice like gets down and it's lost, and you just start to go. You're like listening for it, you know what I mean? Like get drawn into it.
Lean in. Yeah.
But I do. I it's a huge compliment, because
I'm so loud otherwise though, because I'm just loud. I'm just like that. Because you know, if I get impassioned on something,
yeah.
I'm just like, Shawn, you need to bring it down, because I do get obsessed on maximizing people's potential.
It's great. I love it.
Between the two of you, I'm like sitting up straighter.
I know,
right? I'm like breathing. I'm like,
okay,
staying breathe, and now I'm leaning in. You know,
I love it.
the conversation.
So funny.
Yeah, we're in flow.
That's right.
So how do you? Okay, so being present. Let's just talk about that just for a second, because it is easier said than done. We tell ourselves stories. At least I do. Maybe I'm crazy. It could be. But we tell ourselves stories all the time. And so as people are talking, a lot of times you're formulating the answer or you're formulating the story. How can you calm? And I'm not sure who, maybe both of you want to tackle this one. How can you calm, make the calm so you can really be present. You can really sit back and lean in and listen to the conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting. Many people struggle with this. They talk initially when people meditate, like, oh my God, all these thoughts just start coming. And I did this when I first got to Hawaii. Someone said, let's do a whole day meditation. I'm like, sounds like torture. It's just like, I'm going to be hearing my own thoughts over and over and over and over again, right? And to be able to do that without a judging mind, you're entitled to each and every thought, emotion that you have. They're yours and they're gifts. I mean, this is the thing, and we battle them. We don't have healthy conversations with ourselves. Like, oh my God, and I say this because I've been there. And oh my God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did the thing. And oh, I'm so lazy. Ugh, why don't I just do the thing? Like, and you're talking to yourself this way. And I quite often ask clients, anybody who's struggling with this, is like, if I was struggling, would you say that to me? You're so stupid. You're so lazy. And what? It's so easy to do that. So if we have a level of compassion and go, it's okay, I hear you. It's like the alert in your car. It's like, yeah, the oil's low, the gas is low, car's about ready to overheat. It tells you something. Whoa, wait, I need to pay attention and be present with that thought. Don't judge it, because then it just compounds. That's where we end up getting in this sort of like spiral, this downward spiral. Like, oh my God, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, right? Wait, I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. And just having a healthier conversation and being present with your own thought. And it sounds, crazy, and I love crazy, is, I talk to myself all day long.
It's helpful.
Even in my own thoughts. Yeah. I'm curious. If you even address it with a level of curiosity, I wonder why I keep having this thought. Why is that? And be curious about it rather than critical. Because that inner critic, we have to shut that mind down. And I can see it happen whether I'm on stage or in a conversation. And you're just like, nothing's getting through. They're not even present with you, because they're fighting in their own head. And it happens in nanoseconds, unfortunately. But creating the habit of being kinder to yourself and your own thoughts. And when that negative thought does come, and they'll come, I'll have some this afternoon, I'm sure. But that window where I'm going to have that conversation is much, much smaller. And it's healthier. Oh, I hear you. You need more energy. Okay, what can I do? Oh, I now have a solution. We have to think with a level of clarity. And it's actually to stop thinking less, right? And remind yourself, your thoughts don't control you. You can actually control your thoughts. If you believe that, it takes practice, of course. But if you don't believe that, then you are a victim of your own thoughts. If you do believe it, you believe you're a creator of your own thought, consequently your own experience.
Well, very well said. And just to add, is there any value in journaling? Some people, meditate. So kind of what's the difference between the meditation and the journaling and the positive self-talk?
I'll take, you go, and then I have another thing to say.
Okay.
Please. I could go.
I believe with journaling, what it does is it really creates a physicality, right? Because we can say, we do a lot of why. We ask why questions, like, why do I do this? Shawn just touched upon it a little bit about this, but why am I having this thought? And then we work on that journaling by breaking that why down. Why do I have this thought? And then you answer it. Well, why do I do it this way? Well, why do I keep wanting to speak over somebody and get my thought across? Because no one listened to me when I was a kid. Well, why did nobody listen to me when I was a kid? And you start answering yourself these questions and go, oh, that's why I do that. And when you write it, when you physicalize it, you start removing the layer. And I know some people like to burn their, they burn their letters or whatever is significant for them, but the actual physical, I like to be able to go back and reflect on them. So when I work with a client, I'll go back and say, let's go back 6 months and see where you were and see what you were writing. And go, wow, I've made this transition in 6 months. Imagine what I can do in another 6 months now that I know, now that I have the tools. So journaling is a tool that we all get to use to better who we are and who we want to become. And I have a prime example. It's a little story, and I'll make this one fast.
No.
But when I used to have this very annoying, well, not annoying. I got annoyed at myself for people who chewed very loud. I could hear someone across in a restaurant, and I'm like, I hear that person, and whoever I'm with, I don't hear anything. And I answered all these why questions for myself, and I went all the way back to being a teenager when you're having a conflict with your parent, and my mom could chew gum. She could clap every chew, like it would pop every chew. And for whatever reason, when I'm stuck in a car with her and she's driving, it drove me crazy. And as a kid, you think, oh, she's out to get me. She's out to annoy me. I took that chewing with me for almost the rest of my life up until, I don't know, a couple years ago, until I really asked myself, what is it? I had to really look. And now it's gone. And it doesn't bother me anymore because no one's out to get me. They're just chewing their food. You know what I mean?
So let's just break this down really quick.
But that's how much that helps, right? I could just tell you that brief story in a short amount of time. I mean, it took me a while, but that's the service it does for yourself by journaling.
Yeah, I can encourage people to do morning muse. I call it like a morning muse. That first thing in the morning or whatever your routine is, just to get a journal and just go and let it flow. Yeah. Don't judge it. Be spontaneous. If you're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Oh my gosh, the tea is hot. Oh my God. Whatever's coming out of you, let it flow. This is you. You're now getting in touch with what's real, authentic. Really, and of course your intuition and your hunches, like, oh my God, There's no rules. There's nothing. In the conscious of your own mind and your ability to write that, there's no judges. And your ability to get that out of your system, you now have a clean slate. You're like, got that, whatever that is. I encourage people to do it 15, maybe 20 minutes. Like, so there'd be days I'm like, I'm like, you need to just bring it in.
Like, you're still writing?
Yeah, exactly. But the idea, and then put it away. Don't judge it.
We're our own worst critic.
Yeah, we are. Well, that's the problem. We can't get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And there's something so, and I just believe this, a magnificent within each one of us. And when we tap into that thing we love, that thing we do, you're on fire. The world is yours. And this is one way to start to get in touch with what is authentic, innate to you. And next thing you know, you're doing something that you love and you're creating purpose in the world. And then go back, if you need to, go back and circle keywords that sort of resonate for you. Yeah. And then you kind of start to see, oh, wow, I keep having thoughts about this. And you get with a curious mind to explore them.
I like keeping and circling, those words, that keep popping up. I think that's a great tip. And so you don't necessarily have to burn it. You can keep it, you can refer back to it. You can watch, how much you've grown over a course of, like you said, Ari, 6 months or a year, and celebrate that. I think people see the end result and the destination and the big wins, and they forget about all the little wins, all those little baby steps that got you to the bigger win. And certainly when you can lay it out in a journal, it's easier to see and follow along and be able to celebrate that. That's cool.
Which is so true, because we get, in a Western civilization, we're used to having results and goals. And we get disappointed if we don't meet them, and we get frustrated. But sort of in an Eastern philosophy, they're more interested in the method, the process. It's less about getting there, to your point. And if you remind yourself not to be in always a goal mindset, but to be in a growth mindset. I'm growing. I'm good. I'm gonna make mistakes. Well, I can't believe I talked to my kids this way today, or whatever it is, or my boss or myself. How could I be better? Let me try that out. And it's a more compassionate way to just move throughout the day.
There's a great book, and I think it's by 𝐜𝐨𝐧𝐭, and it's called Mindset, and it talks about the growth mindset. And so just, Ari, over to you, for folks that are, looking to maybe seek, an accountability coach or a life coach for whatever reason. Talk to us a little bit about the mindset that those particular individuals would need to have in order to be able to be open, to something like this.
Well, I think if they're looking already, they're on the right mindset. They're on the right path, because that already means they're open. They might have some places where, they might be trepidatious about trying out a coach, but the fact that they're willing is a good start. And from there, you can start out a plan with any coach to see where you're at. What are the things that mean the most, like your top 3 to 5 things that you really want to work on. And Shawn talks a lot about this too, is auditing each one and putting them in order of importance, and which one do you really want to work on first. And touched upon this a little bit earlier when we were speaking about setting yourself up so that as we work on one piece at a time, or as a coach may work on one piece at a time, it allows the client to be able to not be so overwhelmed. And I think that's a lot about a coach, or understanding what a coach does, is just don't be so overwhelmed. You may want to move and move from where you're living and get a new job, or you don't like your job and you want to get out of it, but you can't leave yet because it's what pays the bills. And, it's allowing yourself to just breathe, and let's walk you through it, and be surprised how fast you can make it happen for yourself, or how slow. It's just all on your pace as long as you're willing. But I think the first step is just being willing to have a coach and understanding what a coach does. Not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. There's very different meanings. We want to touch upon where some of the things come from, or where some of your negativities might come from, and then move on to recognize where they come from. You got it. Now let's go forward. And sometimes that's not even necessary depending on the situation, right? So, so there is a big difference in that. But yes, so I think. How about you, Ben?
It's true. Well, I think that the one core thing you need is to believe that you can create change in your own life. If you don't believe that, here's what the irony is: you still need a life coach, because if you don't have that belief system, that you talked about accountability, it's exactly where a life coach comes in. That accountability, though. You actually have the capacity to believe that you can change your life. But many people just don't believe that. They believe they're shackled to their circumstance.
Especially when they're older.
For sure.
Yeah.
When we're young, we believe we can do anything. There's amazing, I'll make the story quick, but there's an amazing story I've heard. There's this 7-year-old girl, she's in a classroom, and she's got her arm wrapped around this piece of paper. She's just writing feverishly. And the teacher's like, I'm not paying attention here. So the teacher goes up to the girl, and she's like, girl doesn't look up. So what are you doing? She's like, I'm drawing a picture of God. And the teacher's like, nobody knows what God looks like. And without looking up, she's like, well, they will in a minute. So the point is, she believes that she has the capacity to do anything, to create God on a piece of paper, so to speak. You know what I mean? And we lose that with each day we get into the world, as Ari mentioned, as we get older. We lose that sense of belief that we do have the ability to create, because of, it's like the bully in the playground, or a parent,
or society says
you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And they want to put you in a lane, and we adopt those behaviors throughout time, and we're not even conscious of it. That's why this self-awareness is key. But to answer your question, you have to believe that you are the creator of your own life. You can create change. Just that there's statistics and research that proves, people in the worst socioeconomic circumstances, with that belief alone, have been able to achieve things that people who have a wonderful lifestyle. so to speak, quote unquote. Yeah.
We definitely have our own head trash,
Oh,
and
yeah.
stand in our, right, the limiting beliefs, head trash, and we stand in our own way. I know that you mentioned that earlier, and we just talked about just the importance of mindset and positivity. Ari, I know you are just a beacon for positivity, and you just love to be in that space. And so talk to us just a little bit about the positivity piece and why that's so, impactful to a person.
Absolutely. So I grew up in an angry household. Not totally all the time, 100%. There were lots of good times, but for the most part, I think because I lived in it, as I got older, I'm like, I know exactly what I don't want. So when I was in my late teens, going into my 20s and traveling as a model and not figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, I definitely knew that I just wanted to be loved, find love, show love. And it's been such a learning process along the way. And so as I dove into it, creating this business and being initially a positivity advocate, is when I go into a workplace or when I wake up in the morning, and I wanted to make sure that the people around me felt a tremendous amount of love coming off of me, and that I was always going to show kindness. And if I were a boss walking into my work, if I was the boss, how would I want to treat my employees? Even though I'm not anywhere remotely the boss, but how would I treat them? And here are the things that I would do. And I would throw Christmas parties for everybody, even though that was not my job, and we would pay for them. And we just, continue to do so. And I believe in that, the love and kindness and positivity, really, it comes back around full circle. It does. It may not feel like it sometimes, but when it's a lot harder to feel love because it's so easy to be angry. It's so easy to choose the part where you just want to be grumpy. It's okay to feel those things. It's okay to, yes, absolutely. We're human. We should be like, well, I had a really long day, but you can shift your mindset and say, I had a really amazing day, but I think I'm just going to take it down a little. Or, but it's easier to say, I'm tired. I still say it. Oh, I'm tired, but for good reasons. So all these little things are just affect us as humans. But if we can constantly remember, I want to be kind. It has to be a desire. I want to be kind, and I want to be giving, and I want to be loving. And I try to inject that in everything that I do, because I love love. And love is such a beautiful, I think love rules the world, and it can rule the world. And I think we're such wonderful human beings that if that's what we actually reflected on the world, you would see a different world. So it's the people behind the scenes that have to continually push while we listen to so many other things that may not, be so positive. So it takes that people like us to kind of go, it's still here. We're here. You're supported, and this is safe.
It's so true. It's
Yeah.
really, really true.
I didn't know if you want to say.
No, I think,
Yeah.
We have, it's throughout history, we're used to just being drawn to negativity. So it's kept us alive. It's a survival instinct, that limbic part of the brain that goes, oh my God, there's a saber-toothed tiger. I need to run, right? It's just natural instinct. And this is why people get attracted to negative news or any kind of, we're just getting negative thoughts, because it protects us innately. It's just sort of historical, and it takes work and effort to go, I understand you're trying to keep me alive, this negative thought, because it's trying to warn me, or I'm scared for whatever reason. And that's why I say embrace fear. It's okay. The great book, Susan Jeffries, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Amazing book, right? But that's where you go, wait a minute, how am I empowered here to be able to create the change that I want? Yes, I'm feeling so much pain. How can I create possibility? Yes, there's an obstacle. How can I create opportunity? Yes, this is a challenge. How can I create a chance? Just a chance, right? And you'll hear me use the word create over and over. But if you don't believe you have the capacity to create it, it seems insurmountable, and the negativity will consume you, and we do what I call negative stacking. One small mistake, such a mistake, turns into I'm a mistake. Like, wait, what? We all do it.
I only giggle because you're like, oh gosh, because you can hear yourself, right? And you
yes,
I hope it's like you hear yourself do it all the time.
Yeah, and one is like personal shaming. I am a mistake. That's personal shaming. That's really detrimental to negative thinking. Whereas I made a mistake is behavioral. Okay, I got an opportunity to fix this.
Yeah, that's a learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Learn from that.
You know,
Yeah.
I not go, I'm so stupid. And she's like, you gotta stop saying that. You know, like when I do whatever it is. I'm like, you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
You know, we think of these small things to add up, but clearly that's how we see ourselves to some degree. So that needs to shift.
Absolutely. So three things. So three tips or tricks, for people to, and you've already talked a little bit about some with just the mindset, but any additional, just a few tips, tricks that, those listening can take away to, maybe up their happiness factor.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'll start with one. A lot of it is training your thought, right? Because our thought comes before our emotion. So many people think your emotion comes first and then you think and the thought comes. It's the other way around and it happens really fast. But just an example of if someone pulls in front of you while you're driving and you just want to have a bad word fest, just stop yourself for a second. Stop before the negativity. You already know how you react, right? You know how you react to things. Just stop yourself, take a deep breath and say, how do I want to react now? How do I want to change? That's just the start of the work. So it may not shift your day and complete you, but it is a start to the steps of shifting your thought process and your habits.
And be intentional. Really be intentional. Before you have a meeting, before you have a conversation, what is my intention? If we're just talking about the topic, say, of happiness, okay, if I want to be happy, what does a happy person do, right? You have to be intentional. Okay, I want to be happy. And yeah, the world will try and tear you down. No one's going to really into an argument. But if your intention is, I'm not here to argue, I'm here, whatever it is, we'll talk about happiness in this circumstance. Well, what would a happy person do? How does a happy person think, feel, and act? Well, they're rational. They're trying to, manage emotions, which you can create a feeling, the conversation, right? But what did they do? What do the most happiest people on the planet do? And it's unique for everybody, right? Everyone has a version of what happiness is to you. And once you get clear on that, now you have a compass. You be clear about the values it takes to be happy. And if you get off track, you go, is that in alignment with what I value? If I value being happy, well, no. Why am I doing it? And how could I do it differently?
I think a third one, maybe like 3 and 4, is
there's a scroll.
There's a scroll. One is accepting yourself where you are and allowing yourself to say, okay, this is where I'm at. And then I think this part is like part A is that, and part B is what is your value and how do you value you? And then the parts of moving forward after that is, there's lots of plans to that, but I would just, with what Shawn said, with what I said, just stop before you react and then understand your core, like what makes someone happy, what is happiness to you, and then accept where you are, and then and I'll write it down. Write this all down.
Wait, hold on.
and understand what your value is. So there's kind of 4 things right there, right? So stop. What is happiness to you? Accept where you are and value who you are. What is your value? I'm sorry. What is your value?
And if you don't know what you value, this is a great opportunity to maybe journal and find out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and get a coach or get a support system that will help you flesh this out. Your friends or somebody who will listen and be present with you. You go, I'm not clear on my values, and it's very common.
Yeah.
It's completely tight. I'm not saying I had it all mapped out, and they evolve throughout time as you get older and things change and your values change and what's important and significant to you. But at least you're having that wonderful, beautiful conversation with yourself and just really getting clear. Mm-hmm. Once you have clarity on those thoughts, those feelings and values, to the point, it's harder to throw you off. It really is, because you'll know when you're not in alignment with what's important to you.
It's funny. I was thinking of like when a kid, when I was just thinking about these 4 things, never stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's my God, stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's hilarious.
Stop, drop your reaction and roll with being kind.
For sure.
Yeah. I love it. That's amazing. I know. I love it.
Short
And it's
version.
so easy
It
to
goes along the
remember.
lines of acknowledge, accept it. What's my alternative, and act on it.
Yeah.
4
that's
A's,
great.
just go right through it. That's exactly.
That's
Stop, drop, and roll,
cool.
baby.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about really quick too, the meaningful work that you do. So we were talking just about coaches. There's so many different types of coaches, and it all comes in, different niches and verticals. And so what is maybe different about, the work that you do versus maybe someone else doing a different type of coaching? Why would someone find their way to you?
A great question. I think one of the things the common denominator that I've seen in many of the clients that come to us is they're at a crossroads and like, how does my life matter? Where do I find meaning? Especially with the pandemic. And I think a lot of people were like really curious now that they're at home go, wow, does this job fulfill me? How do I matter in this world? How do I make a difference? How can I? That we all hit different crossroads in our life. And that is one common theme, and not having a clear understanding of what's important to them, because we do get busy and go, wow, what do I love? What do I love? What do I want to do? What excites me? What makes me passionate? And that's hard to find too. So you're like, I don't know. But that journey to discovery and develop that, because we all have certain unique aptitudes, which is our raw potential, right? But we don't always have the ability, which is the skill and the talent to do it. And some people go, yeah, you'll never play the piano. That's not what we do here. You'll never be a fashion designer. That we don't do. Well, that's not what we do, And we told these things, and we don't develop these innate raw potential that we have. So I think that is one of the places that I've discovered with most people. And I have a client completely from banking. He's just like, this is just not. He was very successful, and just this is not who I am. We had wonderful conversations about that discovery, and really honing in on what does excite me. And now he's on a path of course, creativity for him, of creating experiences that really lends his voice to empower and enrich other people.
And I think too, just in our mission is create the life you imagine. And it's really, getting out of and not being afraid to move into the life you want. And the special niches are fantastic for each little individual thing. With us, we're the bigger picture of you can get there by doing these steps and having confidence in yourself. You can create this and be in this new place. And that is the thing that we share. We make coach slightly differently, but when we get our clients to completely shift, starting a woman from, I really kind of want to lead, but I'm not really sure in my job that this works, because she's a nurse practitioner, but over the phone for dialysis. And she's like, I want to do something bigger. And so as we walked her through, she now has a new job in a leadership role less than a year later. And she had no idea how she was going to get there or what job it was. And so, you can easily take people to these new places going, I don't know what it is, but I need to find it. And we break that down and we get them up and into their next level of where they want to be.
Perfect.
I was going to ask about a success story, but there was two.
Yeah.
That's how yeah. And so often, really as individuals, and especially as women, in some instances, we tend to put the air mask on everyone else first.
Yes.
And then ourselves as last. And so this is really a great reminder. You have to take care of yourself first. You have to kind of look inward, take care of yourself, put the mask on yourself, figure out what you want to do. It's never too late. Whatever that dream.
And always ask for help, ask for, I have a wonderful partner here, so I get to bounce ideas off of him all the time and say, babe, I'm stuck today. I wanted to write this letter and get it out to the desk so I can collaborate, and it's just more, sometimes it's just a sounding board, and he'll just kind of wait for me to ask a question. We've really learned how to communicate well as a couple. So it's really, but just on a personal level, it's just really, it's okay to not know what you're doing. It's okay to not know yet until you do know what you're doing. And then you're going to get to a point again where it's fake it till you make it. Is business is what half the people are doing. They're like, I'm just going to build it and see if they come.
And they will.
So it might not be right. It might be not. And another thing too, is just not everyone's going to like what you're doing. And that not everyone's going to believe in your dream. And that's okay. Because there's so many other people who do.
And it takes one small courageous step.
Yeah.
We think courage it's always this big, noble deed. But I had talked to a client, and initially, she lived in another country over in Europe, and we got on the phone, and she's like, I can't show my face. I'm so ugly. I can't I'm embarrassed to hear the negative talk. I'm like, okay, this is, of course, your time. It's great that you come on, and it would be great to put the name to the face, but whatever's comfortable with you. The point being is, she eventually showed an eye, and was like, so you could feel the negativity, and why did you reach out? She goes, I lack so much self-confidence, and I'm socially anxious. I can't even work. I am ugly, and I've not been able to look in a mirror for 25 years. And she goes, I've been able to tolerate myself every now and again, but I can't, and I'll never find anybody. And all of these things, and her family and people have told her throughout her life this, and you could feel the weight. And we're having conversations, and she's sharing more of the stories about being at a Christmas party and not remember. I said, do you want to speak up? She goes, I would. I don't like the cruelty that goes on in the world. I'd love to say something. And what holds you back? I don't know why. I don't know what to say and how to say it, express myself. And she was sharing different experiences throughout the conversation. And what was amazing throughout the conversation, it went from not showing her face at all to actually showing like most of herself.
That's amazing.
And not even aware. She goes, I don't know why I'm sharing this and expressing these beautiful ideas. And I go, do you feel the courage that it took to express that? I do. I can't. I'm on camera. I just can't believe, and that small step of courage opened her up just this little bit. That's, just that little thing. It doesn't have to be a monumental step, but as I was saying, and as you do as well, it's just reach out in one small way. What small courageous thing can you do? And if it's look in the mirror with yourself with confidence and go, I am a beautiful woman. I'm a beautiful person. And really take that time to start to acknowledge it. Yeah, it takes time to build that belief. It doesn't happen, whatever the challenges that we all have. But I found this amazing and so rewarding about what we do in the world. And she's like, from here, I go, don't stop. Just don't wait. This Christmas, I couldn't eat all day. I kicked everyone out of the house. I just didn't know what to do. And she just had this sense of self-empowerment. It was just a small shift. And I would encourage everybody who's afraid to take that first step, remind yourself there's so much beauty and potential and power in one small step.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
That's a beautiful story.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. And what a great, I think one of the benefits too is that you all create safe space for people to have these conversations, these crucial conversations, these meaningful ones, to allow people to open up and then to allow people to see themselves in a different light. And they might not know, but the questions in which to ask. And so, when you look at someone who's seeking to, maybe reach out, and then they're saying, well, I don't have time, or I don't have money, or I don't have this, or all the excuses. How do you get past that? Like, how do you just say, just pick up the phone and call, or send us an email, or what does that look like for you two?
I think when people, have these reasons that are true to them, that feel real to them, really it's they're reaching out. So they're doing something. They might email us or tell us, and we still have people that follow us and will listen to all our webinars and our podcasts, and they subscribe to us and they're getting our services, but they're just not ready yet. And I think that when you're ready, you'll do it. When you're ready to reach out, when you're ready to really get that deep one-on-one, it's okay. So for us, we're here and we're waiting for you to be ready, and we will be here with open arms, and we'll be excited to get this plan together for you and get your action moving forward. Not that simple. So I know you'll probably want to say something here.
I mean, keep it simple in a way that, if you were to continue today, doing the same thing you're doing today for the next 3 to 5 years, how would your life feel? What would it cost you?
Mm-hmm.
The ongoing frustration, the disappointment, the dissatisfaction, compounding daily, what does that cost you? And how can you put yourself top of that list and go, I am important. I am interested in investing in my life to create change. I'm worth it. I'm worth growing and developing what is unique and beautiful about me. And once you get clear about that, and you'll do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm. You'll learn how to rearrange how you, help can do a personal audit for yourself. And say, how can I personally learn how to invest in myself? I know how to get to the grocery store. I know how to make that work in my budget. I know how to make this work. Maybe I don't get my hair color done for a couple of weeks. And you do a couple sessions, or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's a great point, because you could see what you value,
Right.
Based on, essentially, if we went through our bank account, I could tell what I value.
Right.
Okay, paying the bills is number one, or whether it's hair done or shoes done, or I got a gym membership, or whatever the things are, whatever things are. You can go, where am I on that list? Where am I investing in that personal growth and happiness?
Yeah, internal too.
Yeah.
Physical is easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's the internal.
Yeah.
And again, but that's when you invest in that, and this is of course what coaching does, and you'll see over the next, or you've seen it over the last decade, people are getting coaches. Some of the most successful, high performing people, successful, happy, fulfilled people have coaches.
That's fact. The people who, if you look at the numbers, it shows those who are most successful, and whatever success, however you define it, is those people who invest in themselves in some way, whether it's professional development, reading, meditation, any of that. So yeah, great lesson learned right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just going back to the two of you, as we begin to close it down, looking at how to connect best with you. I know you have podcasts and webinars and memberships, and tell us a little bit about your platform and how other people can join.
Well, alohalifecoaching.com is the place to start. Go there. We have free discovery calls. You can click that button like right away. You're like, I just need to talk. I just want to talk about it. I don't even know what it's about yet, but when we press it, we can schedule it, and we have a one-on-one conversation. It's the best first place to start. And of course, we do have podcasts and things like that. But I think to really get the one-on-one is to really invest your own, some skin in the game, as I like to call it. That it truly is the best way. But again, we post on social media and with Ari and Shawn and Aloha Life Coaching. We just got on Instagram. There's wonderful positive messages. But don't be just a consumer of content. Like, get some skin in the game. Put yourself into it, and let's have a conversation. And I think that is the best way. How do you get a hold of us? alohalifecoaching.com. I can go on about the beautiful things that we do around that, with a lot of purpose and everything.
Yes. Okay, that's great. I
like
that answer.
I don't want to confuse you with, go start a revolution. But it is. And you're like,
but our initially, because and obviously when we connect, we have our emails, everything's connected to our website, our Instagram, and all that kind of stuff. So but that is where you get the most information and can reach out to us, and we can go from there. And if you really want our Instagram, we'll email you. Or you can just look it up. You just Google our names. But
and now that the world's opening up, though, we also do speaking engagements.
Yes.
So we're now going to them, to people. So just so your audience knows that.
That's exciting.
We're putting stuff on the schedule now already. So if that is like something that interests, if you have a team, or an organization, or a group, or even a nonprofit, just go, we need this message. Really expanding how we can impact people's lives. That's the next frontier.
It's a message that everyone needs to hear. So awesome. Thank you so much for just your time today, carving out the time to be present with me today in the conversation. It was really, really amazing meeting you both. And I am just to call out an action, to those listening, to look the two of you up and invest in yourself, because you are absolutely 100% worth it. So thanks to the two of you. Appreciate everything, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Amy.
Really
Thank you, everybody,
this.
for listening.
Yes.
Appreciate
Thanks. Take care.